We all know those people who carry around their own pain and fears without saying a word. Their weight spreads through us, weighing us down, dimming our hopes, and slowly eating away at our sense of what's possible. However, it is not always bad. It is definitely bad for you, but sometimes you have to make tough decisions to protect your inner light and growth path. In this case, we have to be ready to leave behind loved ones, even if we are related by blood or history. We talk about how complicated relationships are and how important it is to take care of our mental health in this place for thought. We know that having the courage to make big changes is important for our mental health and personal growth. There are signs today that it's time to put some space between us and people we care about, even close friends and family. The path to self-preservation and personal growth can be hard and full of problems. It is hard, but it is also very fulfilling. We can move toward a more authentic and satisfying life by recognizing the warning signs and leaving relationships that are harmful or unhealthy. It gives us a chance to let go of old feelings and connect with people who care about us, inspire us, and help us grow. That you deserve more is the first thing you need to do on this trip that may seem impossible. Being aware that you deserve to move on is the first step. 1. Rudeness all the time. Constant rudeness is something that needs to be looked into more closely because it may have bigger effects than it seems at first. Often, this kind of behavior starts out quietly, with jokes or comments that make fun of our actions, achievements, or feelings. Over time, though, these negative views can hurt our self-esteem and make our relationships worse. If someone treats us badly over and over again, that's called constant disrespect. This kind of behavior makes us feel badly valued and understood. It can show up in many forms, such as constant criticism that doesn't take into account our efforts or successes, or mocking that is meant to be funny but hurts us deeply. Always being rude is like slowly poisoning someone. It may not seem to have any effect at first, especially if the person doing it is important to you, but over time it starts to change how we see ourselves and makes us doubt our worth, our skills, and even our most basic truths. It is important to understand that this information is not easy to pick up. Being brutally honest and ready to see more than the surface of the relationships we keep up is needed. However, protecting our mental space and making sure we are with people who accept, value, and support us is an important part of the process. Realizing that constant disrespect doesn't belong in healthy relationships is the first thing that we need to do to break free from the bad relationships that hold us back. It means that we deserve to be treated with respect and honor, even if other people don't. That's not good enough for you. Someone should be there for you and cheer you on, and they should also really listen. If someone makes you feel small, you should take a close look at that situation. Getting rid of harmful people in our lives can be hard, but it's important for our mental and emotional health. People often stay in relationships that hurt them because they don't want to be alone or because they feel grateful or duty-bound to them. But there are times when we need to put ourselves first and know that we deserve relationships that help us grow and not ones that bring us down. Understanding that loving ourselves enough to leave poisonous people behind is not an act of greed, but rather one of self-recovery and truthfulness, is crucial. We deserve more than just pretending to be sorry and then continuing to act badly. It's an act of self-love and a key step toward a better, happier life to choose ourselves. Above all, we should remember that our self-esteem shouldn't depend on what other people think. Criticism from poisonous people don't show how valuable we really are as people. But it's also important to know the difference between helpful feedback and empty words. Not all outside views are useful or valid in the same way. We can tell the difference between noise and real advice that can help us grow and get better by thinking about it and analyzing it. An important part of self-care is taking time to think about our interactions and set healthy limits. When people hurt us or stop us from growing, we shouldn't feel bad about leaving them. We should instead understand that we deserve to be loved and respected by ourselves and by others. We are taking a bold step toward a more authentic and satisfying life by making decisions that put our health and happiness first. 2. Abuse, either mental or physical. Let's face a painful truth. Any kind of abuse, physical or mental, is poisonous to a relationship. It breaks your heart and makes you feel unsafe. When someone hurts you emotionally, it's worse than any words or actions they might do. It sneaks into the mind and heart and whispers lies that hurt self-esteem and change how we see ourselves and the world around us. Emotional abuse throws you into a dark maze of self-doubt and guilt with every hurtful word and trick. The light of hope seems far away and impossible to find. This dark maze is full of unseen thorns of mistrust and anxiety, which are made worse by the abuser's fears. It makes you doubt your own thoughts and feelings by making you question what you see and what you think. It makes you feel bad about things you can't change, and it makes you think you're to blame for what the attacker does. The abuser's subtle manipulation creates a state of confusion and uncertainty, and the victim gets stuck in a never-ending loop of blaming and criticizing herself. When you try to get out of the maze, you keep running into imaginary walls of fear and anxiety that are caused by the abuser's controlling words and actions. Emotional abuse takes away your happiness and feeling of well-being, and it also slowly destroys your identity and confidence. If you feel like your thoughts and feelings don't matter, it's because of this. It makes you think you don't deserve love and respect, which keeps you stuck in a bad loop of hurting yourself and hating yourself. Be aware that mental abuse is not your fault and does not tell you anything about your worth as a person. In all of your interactions, people should love, respect, and treat you with honor. Getting out of the dark maze of abuse takes courage and help, but it is possible to find your way out and start the path to healing and recovery. Abuse that is physical is a terrible blow that hurts not only the body, but also the mind and spirit. Every hit, every attack, leaves deep scars that can be seen or felt for a long time after the cuts have healed. If you are going through this terrible situation, you need to know that you are not alone and that help is available. Fear and pain are not what you deserve. The first step to healing is having the courage to speak out. Every person you meet should love, respect, and keep you safe. There is no reason for abuse, and you should not be afraid to speak out. It is very important to talk about what happened with someone you trust, like a family member or a health expert, in order to start healing. It's important to remember that leaving abusers is not a sign of weakness, but of power and courage. As an act of self-love and self-defense, it tells the world that you will not stand for abuse and that you deserve to live a life without fear and violence. When you leave an abusive relationship, you take back your power and your right to live a happy, peaceful life. Going through healing can be hard, but you're not going through it by yourself. Helplines, emergency centers, and support groups are just a few of the places that can give you the support and direction you need. Get help from people who know how to help you heal. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't forget that you are a fighter fighting for your happiness and life. You are not doomed to live in pain and sadness. You are writing a new story for yourself every time you take a step toward freedom from abuse. In this story, love and respect are always with you. When you are being abused, it is very important to get help. Support from a friend or family member, the help of a counselor, or the expert advice of a loved one can be your refuge during a storm. You're not the only one on this way to health and freedom. Leaving a violent situation isn't just about making sure you're safe. It's also about recognizing your worth and your right to a life without violence and abuse. There shouldn't be any scars from abuse or pain on your life. You deserve to live a life of honor and ethics. Imagine living in a world where the sun shines brightly and every day is a chance to learn, heal, and do well. That's the life you deserve, free from the fear and sadness that abuse tries to bring you. It's important to remember that leaving abusers is not a sign of weakness, but of power and courage. It shows that you love and respect yourself enough to say that you deserve better and are ready to fight for it. If abuse has blocked your way and you feel stuck in the dark, remember that running away is not a sign of giving up, but rather a brave step toward the future you've always wanted. At this point in time, you are the main character in your own story, and love and peace are with you every step of the way. 3. Crossing lines. Think of these signs as loud alarms that let you know there is a basic lack of respect in the relationship. They're telling you loud and clear that your feelings, needs, and wants are not being taken into account every time they cross the lines you've set. It seems like nobody cares about or hears you when you speak up. In any kind of interaction, boundaries are very important. Whether they are real, mental, or digital, they are like the nerve system of a good relationship. They keep things in balance and look out for both people's health. When these limits are regularly broken or ignored, it can throw the relationship out of balance and put its unity at risk. You should pay attention to these signs of rudeness and not ignore them. They are clear signs that something is wrong with the way the relationship is working and that something needs to be done to fix it. To protect your mental health and keep healthy, respectful relationships, you need to set clear limits and communicate them clearly. Boundaries are like the limits we set for ourselves to know what is and isn't okay to do in partnerships. In a world where the lines between what is acceptable and what is not, it is more important than ever to spot when these lines are crossed. If you ignore these signs, it could hurt the health and security of your relationship. There are many sneaky and different ways that boundary violations can show up. In this case, someone might insist on talking about things you've made it clear are off limits for you. This is a line you've drawn to protect your mental and emotional peace. They might also get into your private space and not care about your needs for comfort and privacy. They might even say no when you ask them to keep some space between you, which is a clear sign that they don't value your physical and mental limits. To keep your relationships honest and create an atmosphere of mutual respect, you need to be aware of these line crossings. Not only is it about setting limits, but also about getting tough on people who break those limits. Making sure that your needs and wants are observed in every contact with other people is an act of self-care and self-assertion. When someone close to you crosses the lines you've set, they're not only invading your personal space, but they're also breaking down the trust and respect that are necessary for a relationship to work. People who do these things are not only bothersome, but they also hurt others by spreading mistrust and anger. Figuring out that someone you trust is breaking these rules is going to be very upsetting and often painful. Feelings of confusion, worry, and even sadness can come from it. But this respect is very important for your social and mental health. The first thing you can do to protect your mental health is to become aware of how these line violations hurt you. Realizing how important your limits are and sticking to them gives you control and sets a clear example of self-respect in all of your interactions. Taking care of yourself in this way will help you build better, more satisfying relationships in the future. It's not about being rigid. It's about knowing what respect you earn and asking for it in every connection. It can seem impossible to approach the person who has hurt you, or even to think about stopping the connection, even more so when there are strong personal ties involved. Always remember, though, that you deserve to feel valuable and accepted in every encounter, not drained or put down. Self-esteem and emotional health are important for living a full and happy life. Tolerating people who break your rules all the time can really hurt your self-esteem and happiness. You should always be treated with kindness, respect, and care, whether you're with friends, family, or a love partner. It is very important to think about how important the relationship is in your life if someone keeps breaking the rules you set. Does it bring you more happiness and support than stress and worry? Are you getting better, or do you feel stuck and repressed? Asking yourself these tough questions can help you make choices that are good for your long-term mental health. Don't forget that stopping a relationship that isn't helping you is not a sign of weakness, but of strength and know-how about yourself. It shows that you care about your own happiness and mental health, and is an act of self-love. To protect your mental health, don't be afraid to do what you need to do and look for connections that help you grow as a person. The fourth is constant trickery. Think of a puppeteer whose small fingers move ropes that you can't see. That's the skilled trickster who watches your every move, uses your feelings against you, and makes you feel guilty to keep you in line. They praise you a lot on purpose to get something in return. In the subtle but dangerous dance of influence, lies flow to throw you off and change how you see the world. Soon, you start to doubt not only how you see the world, but also your own reasoning and worth as a person. Every step you take seems to take you farther away from yourself. It's like you're caught in a storm of doubt and confusion. This is the sneaky thing about manipulation. It changes the way you see things and makes you question your own skills and abilities. You get stuck in a bad loop over time, where your low self-esteem slowly falls apart, and a strong need to depend on the abuser takes its place. You tell yourself that you can't do anything right without their help and approval, which makes them even more powerful over you. Because of emotional manipulation and gaslighting, you are always worried and afraid of doing something wrong. This is because the manipulator twists reality to make you question your own mind. But being aware of these trends is the first thing that will protect you. The first thing you need to do to get away from someone who is manipulating you is to learn how to spot their tricks, like emotional blackmail and gaslighting. Just by being aware of these tricks, you can start to recover your power and boost your self-esteem. Don't forget that you're not on this trip by yourself. There are tools and people who can help you break the cycle of abuse and get your mental freedom back. In fact, living with influence can be one of the hardest and most painful things that someone goes through. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck in a mental tunnel where every turn takes you further into the web of trickery. It's important to remember that you have the power to break out of this bad loop, even though it hurts. You are fighting for your freedom and right to live a life without being controlled or forced every time you refuse to give in to influence. It takes courage and self-determination to set limits with someone who is trying to control you. It shows both the abuser and yourself that you value yourself enough to not let their wishes control your life. You are standing up for your rights and protecting your mental health when you set clear and strong limits. Making it clear that you don't want to be a tool in someone else's game of manipulation is very important. You can take back control of your life and feel like you have value and worth again by doing this act of strength. In spite of how hard it may seem at first, keep in mind that you deserve a life full of love, respect, and freedom. No one can change or take over your life, and setting healthy limits is the first thing that needs to be done to make relationships more balanced and satisfying. You're not the only one going through this. On this road, you can find help and tools to help you find sincerity, love yourself, and respect others. 5. Not enough help. Sometimes getting self-respect leads us in ways we didn't expect. Imagine that you are going through a tough time and feeling exposed. You are waiting for someone to support you or lend a hand, but they never show up. This feeling of being empty and not having anyone to lean on is the 5th sign that something is wrong. Let's think about this important topic some more. There is an unseen but strong base of mutual support in the relationships that last through the troubles and storms. The little things we do and say every day shape our lives. A word that tells you you can do it when you're scared about taking on a task, an ear that listens and understands after a long day, or just the calming presence of someone who is there for you through good times and bad. What happens, though, when that important help goes away? If you're alone, even with someone else, it feels like something is missing. There's a part of you that wants to be cared for and supported. Without help, you feel a lot of pain and are left with hard questions like, do these person's goals and dreams really matter to you? Why do you feel like you're suffering by yourself, even though someone is nearby? You can't get rid of these worries and doubts. They make you lose confidence and feel stuck in a circle of insecurity. People who support us do more than just say or do something. They give us the fire we need to believe in ourselves and our skills. Without it, getting to our dreams and goals is hard and full of problems. That's why noticing when we don't have help in a relationship is so important for our mental and emotional health. Know this: even in good relationships, things don't always go as planned. They go through ups and downs, times of stress and problems. But when there isn't any help in a relationship, it should make you think and analyze things in great detail. It really is a two-way street, and both sides help and improve each other. If it isn't, this situation needs to be looked at very closely. To see if things get better, you might want to set stronger limits and be more clear about what you need. In any relationship, it's important to talk to each other openly and honestly, and sometimes just saying what you need can make all the difference. But sometimes you have to face the hard truth that the relationship isn't working the way it should. There are times when it might be best and bravest to just walk away. So, you should hang out with people who believe in you and will push you forward. They should make you stronger, not weaker. When our wants aren't met, it can be very frustrating and painful in any relationship. It seems like no one hears us, and we feel like we're not being seen or heard. When this keeps happening, it's a clear sign that something is wrong with the arrangement of the relationship. It can be dangerous to ignore this signal, especially if we are holding on to the hope that things will get better or are afraid to face the fact that the relationship is not meeting our emotional needs. Ignoring these signals, on the other hand, only makes us unhappy and uncomfortable in the long run. Self-love means noticing these signs and acting on them. It's also a key step toward a more fulfilling and happy life. It means that we understand our own worth and respect as people. By doing this, we put ourselves first and set good limits in our interactions. It can be hard to find the courage to talk about these worries, but it's important for our mental and physical growth. With it, we can stand up for what we want and expect that people treat us with respect. When we do this, we let go of the mental weight of a relationship that doesn't help or improve us. We also make room for new growth and important connections. 6th, always being negative. Being around someone who always sees the bad in things can be tiring and depressing. Their negative outlook not only changes how they see the world, but it also changes how those around them see it. The air is full of their cynicism, and it slowly seeps into how we see life himself. Hope and optimism, which are so important for keeping a positive mood when things go wrong, are replaced by a steady feeling of being tired. This cloud of bad feelings seems to cover up even small happiness. It seems like every ray of light is blocked by a shadow of despair. Not only is this poisonous environment unpleasant, but it can also be bad for our mental health. Discouragement can set in when we are constantly around negative people, which can hurt our self-esteem and faith in ourselves and the future. It can also make us give up on our own hopes and dreams, thinking that success and happiness are out of reach. Everyone's bad mood can affect our mental health, so it's important to be aware of this and set healthy limits to protect ourselves. Keeping an upbeat mood and spending time with people who inspire and drive us can be very important for keeping our mental health in good shape and creating a lasting sense of well-being. 7. Feelings of being tired all the time. When we're emotionally drained after every contact with some people, it's a clear sign that the connection is detrimental to our health rather than beneficial to it. Every part of our lives seems like a mental bank account. Some people make deposits on a regular basis, adding love, support, and happiness to the world. Others, on the other hand, only seem to pull away, leaving us feeling tired, empty, and in the worst cases, on the edge of mental breakdown. This idea makes us think about the kinds of relationships we have with other people and how those relationships affect our feelings. It tells us to think about who is good for our health and happiness and who is taking our mental energy without giving anything in return. It's important to remember that we're not responsible for constantly paying other people's mental bills while forgetting our own. We need to learn how to set good limits and put our own mental and emotional health first. If someone makes you feel like they are taking your energy all the time, it's a clear sign that the relationship isn't fair and could be dangerous. This kind of burnout makes us very tired, so tired that it makes it hard to be happy, stay inspired, and even deal with everyday problems. It is very important to understand this sign and how it affects our physical and mental health. When we realize that relationships should make us feel good, not tired all the time, we think about how the people in our lives affect our daily lives. We shouldn't feel more and more tired after dealing with some people. Instead, we should feel refreshed and stronger. Spending time with someone that leaves us feeling drained every time is a clear sign that the relationship is not good for our mental health. Instead of making us stronger and healthier, these exchanges make us feel even more emotionally drained, leaving us without any energy or vigor. To protect our mental health, it can be smart and brave to decide to stop communicating with someone who is constantly draining us. There are times when leaving these bad people is the only way to get our energy back and heal mentally. By putting our own mental health first and setting healthy limits, we make it possible for ourselves to build better, more important relationships that help us grow as people. Taking care of and loving ourselves is an act that helps us live a better and more enjoyable life. 8th, not trusting. When trust, which is one of the most important parts of any relationship, starts to break down, it's clear that something serious is going on. Imagine a big ship moving toward its goal, which is a union based on love and helping each other. But what happens when trust, which is what this ship is built on, starts to break down from the inside? A relationship where there is no trust is like a ship that is lost at sea in a sea of fear and confusion. It's always being afraid that your words will be twisted, your feelings will be put down, and your weaknesses will be used against you. That's like traveling through rough water without a lantern to show you the way to safety and mental security. When people don't trust each other, the link that holds them together weakens, and over time, the base for a strong and important friendship is lost. Each and every lie and deception breaks trust, leaving a path of mistrust and disappointment in its wake. When people are in a relationship but don't trust each other, questions and fears keep going around and around, ruining the relationship. When people don't tell the truth or aren't open about things, It creates an atmosphere of stress and fear that stops the relationship from growing and thriving in a healthy way. This is the disease that gets into the heart of a relationship when there isn't trust. When vows are broken, hurt turns into betrayal, and lies are told to other people behind your back. The wounds they leave behind keep bleeding. Feeling like you have to protect your heart all the time and doubting everything that is said is not what a relationship should be about. They should be a safe place to go, giving support instead of spreading mistrust. Healthy relationships should make you stronger, not keep you on edge all the time. When you no longer trust someone, you start to doubt not only them, but also your own reasoning. It makes you wonder why you put your trust in someone who then let you down, and why you didn't see the red flags sooner. Your self-esteem drops, your worries grow, and the fear of being hurt again sets in. A relationship turns into an emotional war when people don't trust each other. Every word and action is looked at for signs of lying. Being on high alert all the time and not being able to relax or find peace in each other's company gets old fast. It's hard and painful to rebuild trust, and it takes time, honesty, and dedication from both sides. People need to face hard facts, admit their mistakes, and work together to get back what they've lost. Broken trust, on the other hand, can mean that the relationship is over and that you should move on to protect your mental health and self-esteem. It can be the hardest act of self-love to leave a situation where trust is no longer an option. It's important to remember that you deserve relationships that feel like warm, welcome homes, not emotional battlegrounds. It can be upsetting, especially when it involves people you care deeply about. It is not selfish, but rather an act of truthfulness and self-love to put your own emotional and mental health first. Try to spend time with people whose hearts you can trust and who will not tell anyone your deepest secrets, without doubt that they will be safe. Look for situations where being open and vulnerable is seen as a strength, not a problem that can be used against you. When you stop relationships that make you feel bad about yourself and your confidence, you send a strong message to the world and to yourself. You value yourself too much to settle for less than you deserve. In a life full of real love and respect, it's a step toward a more authentic and satisfying life. The 9th sign is like a warning going off to let us know that our connection feels more like a one-way conversation than a real two-way conversation. It's like being stuck in a never-ending loop of self-talk, hearing the same stories and successes over and over again, with no room for you to add anything or be heard. It's like living in the other person's shadows, where you feel less and less seen and appreciated. This dynamic can be very disheartening and make you feel alone. It makes you question your value and role in the relationship. You don't know if your thoughts and feelings are important, or if you are just a spectator in someone else's life. You keep asking yourself if the way things are now is good for you, or if it's left you empty and ignored. It's a message to set healthy limits and look for relationships that are truly two-way, where both people can talk, understand, and value each other. There is no question that we all like telling others about our successes and happy times. In life, it makes sense to share our happiness with people we care about. But when this party turns into a never-ending speech in which one person's needs, successes, and feelings are always pushed to the background, it shows a shocking lack of respect and humanity. If you live with someone who is always bragging about how great they are, his ego will shine so brightly that your own achievements, problems, and even just being there will be forgotten. As the other person takes center stage, you feel increasingly unnoticeable and unimportant. This kind of behavior not only hurts your self-esteem and sense of worth, but it also makes the link between you and your partner worse. If you compare your successes and efforts to hers, you feel down and defeated. This selfish and self-centered behavior doesn't create a place where people can support and celebrate each other. Instead, it makes a toxic space where real connection and personal growth are stifled. A person's constant need for attention could be a sign of deep-seated fears, but it is important to remember that it is not your job to fix someone else's problems. Being able to give and receive support, praise and care evenly is a key part of a good relationship. If your efforts are ignored or downplayed in the same show over and over again, it's a clear sign that the relationship is out of whack and your mental needs aren't being met. You might want to think again about whether or not that relationship is really good for you. Leaving someone who makes every encounter shallow and one-sided is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's a sign of strength. To protect yourself, it takes courage. A big step toward your mental health is realizing that you deserve a connection where your thoughts, feelings, and accomplishments are valued and accepted. Give yourself some time to think about what you want and need in a relationship. Put your own health and happiness first, and don't be afraid to set healthy limits to keep yourself safe from situations that make you feel forgotten or undervalued all the time. Do not forget that you deserve a relationship where you feel seen, heard, and respected. You deserve bonds that value everyone and give everyone a chance to shine. Being aware of when to leave situations that don't support this means picking a place where you are seen, heard, and respected. Not enough growth as a person. If you think that the way your relationship works is getting in the way of your personal and mental growth, you need to seriously consider taking steps to protect your health. It's time to seriously consider the effects that stagnation is having on your life when a relationship stops serving as a propeller for your growth rather than a brake. Different types of relationship stagnation can show up in different ways, and all of them can have a big effect on our mental and physical health. For instance, we might get stuck in a boring and expected habit that keeps us from trying new things or taking on new tasks. This feeling of not moving forward can make us feel like we're stuck in a state of limbo, where every day is the same and the future doesn't hold any exciting possibilities for growth. There can also be stagnation in a relationship when the other person's needs or wants take precedence over our own goals and dreams. Instead of focusing on our own goals and dreams, we have to put our partner's needs first. This can make us feel like we are giving up our own personality and happiness to keep the relationship going. Adopting jobs or behaviors that don't match who we really are is another way that stagnation can show up. Sometimes we don't live our lives according to our ideals and beliefs because we're afraid of what other people will think, or because we need to meet their wants. When we're not in touch with our true selves, we might feel lost and confused, like we have no idea who we are or what we want in life. It may be necessary to end the relationship in this case in order to break free from the chains that are holding you back from growing and living. This distance doesn't always mean a complete break. Sometimes it just means taking a step back to look at the situation more clearly and objectively. It gives you a chance to get in touch with your needs, wants, and boundaries, and to take back control of your life and future. You are taking a brave step toward your own growth and well-being by deciding to end a relationship that isn't working for you. Realizing that you deserve more than the thing that is holding you back shows that you are very committed to yourself. Being kind and compassionate to yourself in this way not only frees you from the chains of stagnation, but it also gives you the chance to build and remake yourself. You can open yourself up to new experiences and chances that will help you grow and reach your full potential when you step back. You are confirming your worth and your right to look for relationships that make you feel good and help you move forward, instead of living in a circle of conformity and comfort. It can be hard and painful to go through this process, but it can also be very freeing and life-changing. Remember that mental and physical growth is a path that takes time and is full of new experiences, lessons, and changes. Having healthy connections is an important part of this process because they give you a safe place to grow and change in every way. You should know that you deserve to be with people who motivate, encourage, and help you on your journey to happiness and personal growth. Don't be afraid to take care of your life and leave behind things that hold you back or stop you from going forward. Being able to make this choice on your own is a strong sign of self-love and truthfulness. When you leave relationships that aren't working for you or are harmful, you make room for new chances, important connections, and a better sense of well-being and satisfaction. Don't forget that you have the power to make your life fit your beliefs, goals, and dreams. When you value your own growth and development, you build a stronger connection with yourself. This, in turn, helps you build greater, more authentic connections with other people. Make choices that bring you closer to a more authentic, fulfilling, and happy life. They can have a big effect. Don't doubt yourself. Be determined and clear as you move forward. To do work. One person may want to balance work and family life more than the other. These different life goals can make it hard to agree on how to spend time and money, which can lead to anger and ongoing arguments. So how do you talk about these differences in a friendship in a healthy way? For starters, it's important to talk about each other's views, values, and life goals in an open and honest way. This can help make it clear what is expected and what each person is willing to give up to keep the friendship going. It's important to understand and care about each other's points of view, even if we don't agree with them. To build a strong and long-lasting connection, you need to understand and accept each other's differences. This might mean learning to agree to disagree and coming up with creative answers that work for everyone. Also, talking to a doctor or couples counselor can help if the disagreements are really hard to handle. A therapist can give you a safe, objective place to talk about your issues and come up with good solutions. In the end, it's important to remember that it's okay if some differences can't be solved. Realizing that deep differences in values, beliefs, or life goals make it impossible to keep a healthy, happy relationship may be the best thing to do sometimes. In these situations, it might be best to go your different ways instead of continuing to fight a battle you aren't winning. In the end, having ideals, views, and life goals that can't be reconciled can be very hard on a relationship. You can get past these differences and build a strong, happy relationship, though, if you talk about them, show understanding, and commit to each other. If you and your partner can't get along because of your differences, you should be honest about what the relationship can't do and make choices that will make you happy and healthy in the long run. Having unpleasant feelings. If you feel uncomfortable or scared in a relationship, it could mean that something is wrong. People should listen to their gut when they feel nervous, worried, or even scared around someone and think about whether leaving is the best thing to do. These feelings can happen for many reasons, and it's important to find out why they're happening so that you can make smart choices about the future of the relationship. There are a lot of different ways that relationship pain can show up. It can happen because the other person did something wrong, like making cruel comments, funny bad jokes, or insulting comments. It can also happen when people don't value our personal space, put pressure on us to do things we don't want to do, or don't care about our mental needs. When one person controls or manipulates the other, there may be a lack of power in the relationship that makes things uncomfortable. Other red flags in a relationship are stress and worry. Someone may be in a dangerous situation if they is always worried or nervous about how the other person sees them and is always watching what they says and does for fear of making them angry. We may feel anxious when the other person acts in ways that we can't predict, like when we don't know how they will respond to what we say or do. It can also happen when we don't feel safe talking about our worries or wants because we don't feel like we can be open and honest with each other. The sign of fear in a relationship might be the most troubling one. If we are really scared of the other person, whether it's because of their violent past, threats, or angry behavior, we need to take steps to keep ourselves safe, both physically and emotionally. Being afraid could be because of a past of abuse or mistreatment in the relationship, such as being hurt physically, verbally, or emotionally. It can also happen when you notice early signs that the other person is being dominant or manipulative. When we feel uncomfortable, anxious, or scared, it's important to take steps to look at the relationship's health and decide if staying in the relationship is safe and healthy. To get an outside, objective view of the situation, this could mean getting help from friends, family, or mental health workers. Setting clear limits and telling the other person our wants and concerns in a polite and firm way may also be part of it. If we look at the situation and decide that the relationship is not healthy or safe for us, we should take steps to leave in a safe and effective way. This could mean putting up a physical and mental wall between yourself and the other person, stopping all contact or conversation with them, and getting more help to heal and get over what happened. When we feel pain, worry, or fear, our bodies and minds are sending us strong warnings to keep us safe. These feelings are very important to us, and we shouldn't ignore them just to make other people happy or keep a bad situation going. Instead, we need to learn to recognize and value these emotions as real signs that something is wrong and needs to be fixed. People often downplay or ignore their feelings when they are in situations that make them feel uncomfortable or anxious. They do this to avoid disagreement or keep the peace. But if we do that, we might not meet our own wants, which could hurt our mental health and well-being. We shouldn't try to hide our feelings. Instead, we should learn to accept and name them, even when they are hard to face. Sometimes, this means being clear about our limits with others, being honest and polite about our needs, and taking steps to get away from harmful people or places. Face these challenges, even though they can be hard, because they help us become stronger and grow as people. They also give us the chance to live a more authentic and satisfying life. Taking care of ourselves and getting better are ways of recognizing our worth and respect as people. We should not let the fear of disagreement or pain stop us from making good choices that will help us. To protect our health and well-being, we should learn to trust our guts and act before something bad happens. If you feel uncomfortable, anxious, or scared in a relationship, it means that something is wrong. It's important to trust our gut and think about whether leaving is the best thing for our health and happiness. It's a big step toward a better, safer, and more satisfying life to ask for help and take steps to keep ourselves safe, not sticking with it. Lack of loyalty in a relationship can be a clear sign of problems that could make it impossible to last in the long run. When one person in a relationship doesn't want to give in or deal with problems that come up, the relationship can stall and finally end. This paper will go into more detail about what happens when someone isn't committed to a relationship and how that can change the way the two people interact with each other. Commitment is an important part of any good friendship. It means working together to solve problems and stop arguments in a healthy way. One person may not want to make the necessary changes to keep the relationship on a good road if they are unwilling to settle. The other person may feel frustrated and angry because of this, which can throw the balance of power off. A lack of loyalty can also show up as not wanting to deal with problems in a relationship. The person might choose to ignore or downplay problems instead of facing them head-on and looking for answers. This can lead to constant stress and strife as problems that haven't been handled build up over time. Not being committed can also make people lose trust and faith in the relationship. If someone won't give in, it can make you question their long-term commitment and desire to keep the connection going. If you do this, the other person might start to doubt the security of the relationship and worry about your future together. Lack of loyalty can sometimes be a sign of greater problems in the relationship, like not talking to each other or not respecting each other. It could mean that someone doesn't value the relationship enough to put in the work needed to keep it going if they are unwilling to settle. When two people are in a relationship, compromise doesn't mean giving up everything or giving up something for the other person. Rather, it means finding a good mix between each person's wants, needs, and beliefs. This is an active and cooperative process where both people are ready to work together to discover answers that are good for the relationship as a whole. For this reason, involvement means being ready to really hear each other's worries, points of view, and wants. To do this, you have to be willing to understand the other person's thoughts and feelings, even if they are different from your own. Understanding how someone else feels and being able to put yourself in their shoes are important skills for communicating well and resolving conflicts. Lack of flexibility can hurt the health and energy of a relationship in the long run, so it's important to deal with it before it does irreversible damage. This could mean having open and honest talks about what each person in the relationship wants and needs, as well as getting outside help if needed to fix deeper problems. You might also find it helpful to talk to a couples therapist or marriage counselor for extra help dealing with problems in your relationship. A skilled therapist can help partners figure out their unhealthy habits of behavior and give them useful tools and advice to improve their communication, grow closer, and make their bond stronger. If someone in your relationship isn't committed, it's important to remember that change takes time and work. There are no quick or easy solutions, but couples can get through tough times and improve their relationship with time, commitment, and hard work. People can work together to build a strong, long-lasting relationship based on love, trust, and respect by noticing the warning signs and taking steps to deal with them.